Good Monday afternoon, East Tennessee, coming to you by way of YouTube. Thought we'd mix it up a little bit. Want to talk about the severe storms that we're dealing with right now at this very moment. What's key here is that these storms are going to be packing quite a bit of punch in terms of wind, damaging wind potentially. In fact, if we take this full screen, we can see we have a couple of boxes. Tornado warning issued for parts of Kentucky. We want to get into that as well, but I want to show you what we're dealing with right now. At least what is most imminent right now is the Harlan County tornado warning to 1:15. That's a little less than 15 minutes from now. It also includes Knox, actually Bell County too. Bell County, Kentucky till 1:15. So I don't want to ignore that. That is the pink elephant in the room. But we also have some areas of concern, severe thunderstorm warnings until 1:45 in Granger County. We also have one that's until 1:15 for Anderson County, and one that's lurking back to the west towards Sparta, which could grow into our region here in just mere moments, but more on that in just a second. And oh yes, we're also shaded in that burgundy color, tornado watch in effect for Knox County till 7 o'clock tonight. We're watching that closely. But let's take a look at where we have the possibility of a tornado here. This is actually up toward Kentucky. It is on the northern fringe of our viewing area. It's north of Pineville. It's around the Beverly area. And if we take a look at some of the tracking on this particular storm, you can see that it's including towns like Beverly right now, Sailor at 1:13, could be headed toward War Branch at 1:15. If in fact this is on the ground, we do have some concerns, maybe around Wallens Creek at 1:17, and you may see also some issues there in, say, Tremont at 1:16. So these are the concerns we're watching right now in terms of the severe weather. The tornado concern right now is in southeast Kentucky. And if you're on the call, let me know, because I'll do my best to kind of echo your sentiments. If you have a comment, let me know. I'm also on this iPad over here. So I'm over here looking at multiple things. So I'm going to try and do multiple tasks at the same time. But as you can see on this screen, this is where we have our biggest concerns right now. They include those areas in Kentucky that include Beverly, Keith, Helton, Rio Vista, 1:16. Those are the times that we could see potentially some issues going forward. So I just want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. As I continue to expand my reach, I just wanted you to know I'm going to be here for a little while today, and then eventually I might go back to Facebook. It depends on what's developing in our region. But this has winds moving east at 47 miles per hour. The width is just under 12 miles in width, and hail, 100% chance of hail forming along this boundary. But let's take a look and see if we can find maybe some other things under the hood in terms of the velocity and maybe the shear. I want to see what as far as the rotation tracker is concerned. You can see there's a hint of it here with some green areas. This is the green area. Maybe it's just weak. It may be weak shear, but it's still there. The swath of it has come in from the west, and it's been tracking along that path over the last 30 minutes or so. If we go back to the velocity, you can see that there have been maybe some stronger winds in parts of this storm. But right now, the tornado warning affects Bell County till 1:15. That's 10 minutes from now. And we're going to come back and revisit this one here in a moment and get back to our East Tennessee roots here where we are located currently. And this is obviously parts of our viewing area extends into Harlan and also into Bell County. So I wanted you to be aware that tornado warning for Harlan, for Bell, lasts until 1:15. That's 10 minutes from now. If I go further south, this is where we get interesting notes as far as the colors, as far as the stronger winds, as you can see illustrated here. And some of these white areas, somewhat white, 66 miles an hour, maybe around 46 here, north of Maynardville. So we have some damaging winds that are coming in that could affect some power, no doubt. So if you're on the call, let me know. I see 6 of us watching, so hopefully we'll grow here in a moment. But subscribe to my channel here as we'll continue to grow and hopefully get things in order. I do notice, though, in addition to these particular warnings, the one that's off to the west has the potential to grow, and they will continue to be needing to be watched. I mean, we're not done with the instability as these storms that are coming in from the west, south of Cookeville towards Sparta, they last until 12:30. I believe it's 12:30. It keeps popping on the the tornado watch. But the severe thunderstorm warning for Van Buren, Tennessee runs till 12:30 Central, and some areas south of McMinnville run until 12:15 Central Time. So this is basically what we have on the map. It's not every day that you get listed as the Storm Prediction Center did. They put us under what's called an enhanced risk. And that's not some, and even some areas, moderate risk, which I'll show you here in mere moments. In fact, as you can see, this big playing field that is our home here in East Tennessee. We've got the severe thunderstorm concerns for warnings for Anderson County till 1:15, and we have one till last till 1:45. So 1:45, we'll continue to watch this as well. But the tornado warning that's up here in parts of Kentucky will last until 1:15, so you can have another 8 minutes on this particular warning itself. I'm going to show you what we have in terms of the severe concern. We talked about the live streaming as we are trying out a different new thing here in YouTube, but just wanted to show you where we have had most of the storminess. In the last hour or two, a lot of it has come in like so. It's come in places like Campbell County, Scott County, and also working its way across parts of Fentress County. That's really kind of how it all started in the last hour or so. And the energy associated with this front is bringing in more storms headed toward the Southern Valley. We just talked about that here mere moments ago. But there is the possibility for more spin-ups. We had a tornado in our region in Roane County just about a couple of days ago. It was a spin-up. It was an EF1 with winds around 95 miles per hour. So it's not unheard of to have a tornado in East Tennessee, but August doesn't normally resemble April. I mean, this August looks more like April in terms of severe weather. Risk for tornadoes on the medium side. Large hail might be on the medium side, more than what you'd normally expect for this time of year for sure. But those colors that you see there in yellow and orange, and dare I say even some red, some widespread, this is not common for East Tennessee. And it's not unique to us. It's also affecting areas of West Virginia, and even into parts of North Carolina. But as you trail off west, as you head toward Nashville, you'll notice there are some areas that are kind of yellow and green. And those areas, those yellow and green areas would refer to scattered and isolated severe storms. Closer to home, this was the map that was drawn and actually enhanced and then kicked up to red in some areas around Morristown at 8:44 this morning, which means the Storm Prediction Center, the men and women, the PhDs that work out of Norman, Oklahoma, decided, you know what, we're gonna move this up one more risk category and really focus it on the Tri-Cities, Morristown, and into Hancock and Hawkins County. That means where the storminess does develop, but it's not done, could be really enhanced over there. And here's the wind risk. It's not every day you get wind risk of 45% in the purple for most of East Tennessee. So this is why the bells were sounded. This is why the alarms were sounded, that this could be one of those interesting weather days in the time frame that we know as August. This is not looking like an August day. It's looking like an April day. April and August, yeah. You think about August, you start losing minutes on the sunrise and sunset time. April, you start adding them. So I guess that's the only commonality. They're kind of mirror opposites of each other. But what about hail? If you got a 45% chance of wind of 60 miles an hour in purple within 25 miles of a point, it's a pretty high chance. So I don't think we're done with the weather, even though I'm here at this moment at 1:10 in the afternoon. We still have to get through the afternoon as a whole. There could still be some flare-ups that might surprise you. What about hail? Hail is about a 15% chance. This is by their estimation that we have a 15% chance within 25 miles of any point there in yellow of getting severe hail. So that's just kind of how things kind of played out. And tornado risk, they put a 10% chance. So if you look at the opportunities that we have a tornado warning right now, well, one expires in about 5 minutes. The one that's up in Bell and Harlan County kind of falls in line with the yellow 10% area of tornado risk. And again, this is not exact science. Meteorology is not an exact science. The pure sciences are physics, chemistry, but meteorology tries to take a handful of the pure sciences and gleans it all together as best it can. Anyway, 10% chance in yellow. That includes Morristown. That means Granger County, La Follette, within 25 miles of a point that a possible tornado could form. And we were already having that opportunity show up in real time with the tornado warning, which we started with, by the way. We started with in parts of southeast Kentucky. All right, temperatures right now, 84 degrees in Knoxville. It is humid. My expectation was we'd get up to 86 today. It's 89, though, in Chattanooga and 85 in Nashville. A lot cooler in Jamestown there at 79. And with the dew points running into the mid, if not the upper 60s, low 70s, I believe it's pretty humid enough for these storms. In fact, it's a mid 70s. Dew point, the lowest one I see there is La Follette. They're at 66. But everybody else has enough rocket fuel for this buoyancy factor to take a hold today. That once this front comes into town, some of these storms will pack a punch. And that means business. So again, dew points are high in the low to mid 70s. And you can see the line that's forming. Look at the cloud tops blowing up north of Chattanooga. That's the clouds that are growing north towards Sparta, that are growing up towards, say, McMinnville, and headed toward Knoxville. So heading toward Knoxville, this is the area we'll be watching very closely as we see these clouds begin to grow, and they're going to continue to produce some heavy rains in spots. Locally heavy rain may be a factor, but because these are quick movers, you can see the winds where we've had some severe storms are going to be a lot higher than what these numbers indicate. But 10 to 20 today, gusting 35 to 40 in absence of storms, certainly on the table. If you're under a severe thunderstorm warning, clearly the wind's going to be a lot higher, and so on, and so it goes. So that's where things are at this point. Now let's go back to the maps, because we've got a brand new Decatur, Spring City, brand new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of Ray County, it would appear, and also till 2 o'clock, and also into Meigs County until 2 p.m. That's almost 45 minutes from now. And it looks like we've gotten several new, it's almost like we have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings all overlaid here around the Maynardville area. If I'm not mistaken, one toward Caryville at 1:15, one toward Anderson County till 2, one around Maynardville till 2, and one around Rutledge till 1:45. Jefferson City included in that until 1:45. So think about that. This storm, cluster of storms, riding into town from the west is dropping locally heavy rain, producing some strong damaging wind, and in some cases could be producing some hail. If you need more evidence of that, let's take a look at the hail tracker. We can look at the hail tracker. Oh yeah, there's some hail. He's like, oh no, really? Yep, that's the hail marker. You can see it all coming in the last hour. It's come in. Now, it may not be as large as I suspect. It could be as large as a George Washington quarter, but oftentimes the computer will overestimate. It's possible hail. And I can look at a different product to suggest the actual size, but sometimes it's much better to have ground truth, to have a weather spotter, and that may be very well much more preferred to have than necessarily the computer tell me what the actual hail size is. So if you're on the call, let me know. I see about 10 of us are on here. That's making some headway. But I want to let you know that I want you to know that these storms are not going to necessarily dissipate over the next 20 minutes, maybe in the next 30 minutes. We probably have till the early part of the evening. So this afternoon, right to about 7 o'clock, that's when the tornado watch is expected to expire. So we've got a tornado watch that expires at precisely around 7 o'clock. I see a note here. I do see a note here. Come back on camera. There we are. I see Kay Fowler. She's got thunder and dark skies in Jeff City. Thank you, Kay. It's good to have you here. Glad you're here live. Cody says, hey, David. Glad to have Cody here as well. So again, as we're talking in this real time, this real moment, some of us are dealing with some very heavy rain, dark skies, as we heard from Kay Fowler, Keith Fowler. I do know her name is Keith. But these are also producing some hail, and in some cases, maybe some large hail. So that's all on the table. As far as these winds are concerned, they could be strong in pockets. There's 48, there's 53, there's 64. And each one I click on, it seems like it's going higher. Maybe one down south of Clinton, 50. So if you've got 50, 48, 64 mile an hour gusts, you're going to have some, maybe some tree branches start swaying in the distance. Maybe they start to snap. Maybe they get effective power. Because if you have power outages, and that could be an issue. If your phone's not charged, that could be also an issue as well. So just want to make sure that you're making the best of the situation that we have before us. Because all of what you're seeing right now, again, is the most up-to-date information I have coming into my weather computer. And those wind speeds can change depending on where you are, but the gusts of wind can happen in a short period of time. Let me take this off and just kind of declutter the map for anyone who might be just joining us. We're looking at a multiple severe thunderstorm pattern today. I wouldn't say it's an outbreak, but it seems like it's growing over the last hour or so. We have newly issued severe thunderstorm warnings for Ray County, Meigs County, and McMinn County till 2 o'clock. Till 2 o'clock today. Crossville is not, I repeat, Crossville is not, Cumberland County, not under a severe thunderstorm warning, but you are getting some rain right now that's heavy, and we'll need to watch that closely. Why? Because Sparta is under a severe thunderstorm warning till 12:30 Central Time. So that translates to 1:30 our time. Now we have passed the 1:15 marker. I mentioned the tornado watch, which means the conditions are favorable. Doesn't mean we're going to get a tornado in Knox County, but it means that we have the potential till 7. The tornado warning did expire, and it would almost appear if we go back up to the north toward Harlan, it's like almost like, can you see what I'm seeing? Almost looks like trying to hook here, right? A fish hook. And usually that could mean a signature or at least a concern that a possible tornado is trying to move through. So if I go through the last hour to see what's happened here, probably the last 30 minutes would suffice. There could have been a spin up. There could have very easily been a spin up around Beverly and west and north of Harlan. So we'll wait and see what happens as far as ground truth. But the good news is if you are in Harlan, you have family in Harlan County, that has been downgraded to a severe thunderstorm warning until 1:45. So 1:45, that's the time it's in effect at this particular moment. So I hope that helps. I know that there's a lot going on, obviously, with these storms. If we look at another bigger picture, that's, again, was the hot spot when I came on. Still some flooding concerns. It looks like they've still got a flood advisory around Barberville at this point, but it's also on top of the tornado watch that affects those areas there. But let's go town to town. Let's make sure everyone who's actually listening or watching, you could chime in and let me know if what I'm seeing is consistent with what you're feeling, because Rutledge, Bean Station, Buffalo Springs, kind of in the crosshairs of this storm as it's now moving to the west, to the east. In fact, let's go ahead and do a little track. We haven't done that in a few minutes here. Pick and choose a track. There's a lot of them. Rutledge, 119. And that would be headed toward Avondale Springs at 122. The Big Q Estates at 126. Riverview at 129. And Beans at 130. And of course, because I could see on the left, this is moving east at 45 miles per hour. These storms are not going to stay put all too long. But in this case, a little different situation, it's training over the same railroad track. So you've got a storm that's around the Rutledge area being replaced by the storm that's in the Maynardville area, which is being followed up by another storm that's in the Norris area. You get the picture. And the fact that the BTI is over 5, it's a 5.4. For those of you that know what the Barron Tornado Index BTI number is about, it's just a good indicator, a quick number glance, if the possibility of a tornado is forming. If it's a 7 or an 8 or a 9, I always encourage my viewers to get in the basement. The skill score that Barron presents is very, very high. It's like 98%. They don't issue a 7, an 8, or a 9 very often, but this one's a 5.4, so we're going to watch these storms very closely. This one just dropped to a 5.3, so each volume scan will get some new intel, but this storm is moving east at 45. And if we were to look at another storm here around the Maynardville area, it's headed toward Luttrell. It's already in Luttrell, 125, Highland Springs, 132, and you can see around, say, Sunset, 137, Washburn, 137. So these are approximate times because, remember, all radar has some age to it, whether it's 30 seconds old, or you could say everything's live, but that's, I think that's a little misleading. But some of these images could be 1 or 2 minutes old. And I see a brand new one that just was issued for Carnes and Hardin Valley. Look at, looky. Look at what's happened. Everything's now popping. Good thing I came on. Good thing I'm glad you all found me here. Anyway, Hardin Valley, Farragut, and we'll even say Oak Ridge, now under severe thunderstorm warning until 2 o'clock. Until 2 o'clock, mind you. So we've got a storm now that's moving around, say, the Kingston area, heading in the direction of Farragut. We got a storm that could produce 60-mile-an-hour winds. But when will it get to my town? Well, if you're in, say, Bradbury, 125. If you're in Woodlawn, about 133. And if you're in, say, Harrison Hills, about 135. These are some estimations here. But this storm, the one that affects Anderson and Knox County, is moving at 36 miles an hour. And its BTI is just under 5. But again, these are storms. So that's why I said they left a 5% chance? Last night it was a 2% chance. I'm talking about our friends at the Storm Prediction Center. Had a 2% chance for tornadoes yesterday evening, but then they updated it to a 5% chance. So it more than doubled. So it's not out of the question that a spin-up could occur, and we want to watch that very closely. This is what we're watching as far as Knox County is concerned. But the ultimate Doppler radar presenting a new severe thunderstorm warning now for Knox County, and these are the towns and times that are in effect. Let me look at another element to this, which would be the velocity. What kind of winds are we getting associated with this particular storm? I can clearly see from just this image alone some bright white areas with 70 miles an hour. That's pretty strong. There's 49. So again, these could pack more than 60 mile an hour wind gusts, but they are producing a lot of wind in some of these cases. So please be extra careful, as I want to quickly check my app and see what we're seeing in terms of the Weather Service and how they've described this storm in detail. Let me go ahead and do that. In fact, the severe thunderstorm warning is for northeastern Loudoun, southwestern Knox, south central Anderson County, northwestern Blount County, and southeastern Roane County until 2 o'clock. So Knox County, maybe not Knoxville proper, but West Knox County is in fact under its first severe thunderstorm warning of the day, and it runs for another 35, 37 minutes. About 30, well, till 2 o'clock. And the concern here is hail damage to vehicles is expected. Let's take a look at the hail. That's the verbiage from our friends at the National Weather Service. So let's look. Is there hail likely forming in this? They think this is all going to transfer right into this town. So right in from west to east. I say into this town. If I go 30 minutes, it might be a little easier to see how this has moved in. But yeah, areas around the Kingston area has had some hail, no doubt. And it's beginning to populate with some pink color in those areas in the polygon. So if you have a comment, let me know. Keith Fowler's on here. Cody's on here. And I know that some of you will be figuring out later through the comment section. I'd love to have you let me know what you're seeing. Let's take another look from the hail perspective. We'll stop the loop here. And let's look at the shear. This is what we call the rotation detector. Think of like being a look under the hood and see if we have a lot of shear. In fact, I know that we had a tornado warning a little more than an hour ago across Kentucky. I'm kind of curious to see if there was a lot of shear. There was a hint there, but there was also almost like a fish hook look to that tornado warning. But no tornado warnings in Tennessee as of yet, and most of the rotation detector, as it were, is just a hint of green here and there, which suggests weak. If you look at the legend at the top right, the weak rotation or weak shear is showing up in green. If it were suddenly burgundy, that would be stronger, and if it were yellow, it would be extreme. But we don't have that, which is good news for us, and so we'll kind of march on here to another image here. But I want to show you the swath here. This is kind of how it looks when you clump it all together, and there has been a lot of instability, to put it mildly, over the last hour that's moved in from Scott County, really Fentress, Scott, and into Campbell and into Anderson Union County. So all this is working its way to the east, and that's what we're watching very closely at this moment. Does that help? I hope that helps. By the way, if we look back at the other image for hail that I have, and that's basically what we're looking at over here, this might have some other telltale signs. This is kind of a hail, basically the hail markers can sometimes be seen here if it's possible, and it doesn't show a whole lot of signatures here. So that might be good, but from the Weather Service standpoint, they believe the locations that are going to be affected by this particular storm, we'll go back to it here, will affect areas in Oak Ridge, Lenoir City, Kingston, Loudoun, Farragut, as well as Harriman and Bradbury. So those are the towns that are most likely to be affected by this particular storm. There it is. And then we put the tracker on it. You can see some of the new towns that have been populating here, as it's now moving about east at 33 miles per hour. I'm going to go back to the full screen here. Again, talking about some heavier rains now in Crossville. Not severe, but headed in your direction. I got some new notes. I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm glad you have found me here on YouTube. I'm going to go back to Facebook. I haven't left Facebook, but I want YouTube to grow, expand the reach, and share this link with those who, if you haven't subscribed to me, I hope you'll do so. I got a note here from Michael Hawk. He says, I'm here. Great to have you, Michael. He's in Morristown. So stay with me. We got some nasty storms right there in Morristown. You're getting the effect of it. I'm sure your skies are not sunny and bright. It's not sunny and 70. You got dew points in the low to mid 70s. So some of the storms, Michael, could be rocking and rolling, no doubt. He says the wind is starting to pick up a little and the skies look really angry. LOL. I would tend to agree with you. They look angry, all right. But these storms, again, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a parade of storms. It's going to take a while, probably the next 30 minutes or more, before we start to see some more definition as to what's going on in Crossville. That's what has me concerned. When we looked at the visible satellite, when we did the visible satellite, it started, these clouds start growing, right? So we have a cluster of storms around Sparta that are going to need to be watched because they're going to be coming into this environment that's probably the preheated oven, which is why we have the tornado watch for Knox County until 7 o'clock tonight. This is going to be an ongoing situation. So I wouldn't put your guard down. That's why it's very important to have a very reliable weather app, which I encourage you to download my free one, Captain Accurate Weather app. But you have also opportunities. You can get a NOAA weather radio, but it's always nice to have multiple sources. You can even follow the National Weather Service on Twitter, I guess I should say on X. Now that it's no longer a tweet, it's a post, but that's a whole other story. You know the story. Ultimate Doppler radar, again, looking at these severe thunderstorm warnings. This lasts until 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock for Anderson County, Knox County, as well as Roane County. Let's talk about Michael for a second. He's in Morristown. What kind of weather is he getting? I would say downtown Morristown, because you have that little cone of silence, because the radar's there. You don't see things in here very often, right? Or if ever, because the radar is located there. But we know there's probably some storminess around Alpha at the moment, and they're going to be impacting, these storms are going to be impacting Morristown here in just moments. In fact, Michael just said, he says the skies are looking angry. He says, I'm in the basement, going to look side real quick. Okay, well, be safe. You're under a severe thunderstorm warning, and I can tell you this, if you're in the Morristown area, this should be knocking on your door in the next 5 minutes, like 6 minutes. I got Hidden Acres, about 134. Casablanca at 135. Wildwood at 136. And the brunt of this storm system could be coming through 136, if not sooner. Could be coming in a little bit sooner. But again, these are approximate times, but I'd like you to see, if you're in Bull's Gap, you should be aware things are about to go downhill in a hurry for you. And what did we see as far as the concern about the wind speeds? This is moving. This is moving at 43 miles an hour. So if you're in a car moving at 43 miles an hour, you assume it's not going to be staying steadily. It's going to move along. But as I mentioned a few moments ago, you have more reinforcements around Rutledge. You have more reinforcements around Luttrell, and you have more reinforcements around Paulette and around Corriton. So these storms are all working in the direction of Michael, who's in Morristown, and he may be getting a lot of rain. Speaking of rain, this is the area that's been getting pounded for what seems like hours. Let's take this off for a second, as we've got a good sense of some of the towns. But we have Granger County until 1:45. That's 15 minutes from now. Let's see here. We have a new one that's Greene County till 2:15, and that includes Morristown, Hamlin County. So, Michael, just a heads up for you, a little personalized weather update. Severe thunderstorm warning for Hamlin County till 2:15. So that's 45 minutes from now, and that's in the anticipation that the storminess in Maynardville and the storminess north of Clinton still has to come in your direction. Does that make sense? Caroline Aguilar. Carrie says, it's raining in downtown Morristown where I am. Well, I'm glad to have you, Carrie, and she's one of my premium members on Facebook. Love it. By the way, these storms, again, have the potential to produce quarter-size hail and could produce 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I'm reading from the actual copy. This severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect, the new one, that's down towards, say, Knox County, western Knox County, is in fact, let's see here, going to run until 2 o'clock. Run until 2 o'clock. So this is going to be areas, let's see here. Go back to the Morristown, because that's where we're focused on. The Morristown, Hamlin County also includes Greene County, so let me give you the updates there. The southwestern Hawkins County, till 2:15, northeastern Jefferson County, north central Cock County, Greene County, northeastern Granger County, and Hamlin County till 2:15. So that's the way things are shaping. And this is moving at 45 miles per hour. We're talking about the one around Morristown at this particular moment. So that's where things are at this particular moment. Let's pull this back up. I had somebody coming in, so I'm distracted here, but I'm still focused here. Morristown, Greenville, Bean Station, and White Pine are all included in the severe thunderstorm warning that's going on here. Michael says, David, thanks. You're the best. You're the man. Appreciate you very much, Michael. Also want to just remind you that if, in fact, you have had a severe weather event happen, let me know. Meaning like, hey, I had a storm come through and I'm in Oneida, or I was affected by this hours ago in Jamestown. Because remember, this all started in Jamestown this morning around, say, 11 o'clock Eastern. So if you have a story like that, share it with me in the comments section. It always helps to hear other people's experiences. And also want to check the power outages. Let's do that for a second. Real quickly, as we kind of outlaid some of the concerns that we have, I should mention before I go on that we have seen a new one for Crossville. So Cumberland County has now been added. Oh my. So like I said, this is the one that was around Sparta, Lake Tansy. You're now under a severe thunderstorm warning until 1 o'clock Central Time. So anyone from Cumberland County within the sound of my voice, Crossville, Lake Tansy, perhaps Fairfield Glade, looks like it chops off just north. Yeah, Fairfield Glade is not technically under the new severe thunderstorm warning. And neither is Monterey, although you're getting pounded in Monterey with some heavy rain. The Weather Service has decided that they're only going to draw it basically from the Crossville area southward. So that makes sense. I mean, basically where they're tracking it and looking at the direction, that's where they've decided to put this. But that storm in the Crossville area is moving east at 46 miles per hour. It is also above a 5 on the Barron Tornado Index. As I like to say, when it's a 3, 4, 5, watch it like a hawk. No pun intended, Michael, but he knows what I'm talking about. Watch these storms like a hawk, because if it's a 3, 4, 5 on the BTI score, it could ramp up to a 7, 8, or 9 on the next volume scan. Because every storm, much like a wave that's crashing on the ocean, it's either getting stronger or it's weakening, most likely. It's not necessarily going to stay static. And this storm that's around Lake Tansy, around the Crossville, is in fact producing some damaging wind. That's one thing to note. And I want to quickly check the verbiage, because that one would come from our friends at the National Weather Service in Nashville. Nashville has a severe thunderstorm warning for southern Cumberland, northern Van Buren, southern White County until 1 o'clock Central. This one's moving, they say, east at 55. My computer has it more at east at 46, but it's got 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Okay, so if this one's the one where the clouds were growing vertically, this is the one that you got to pay attention to as it moves into the Southern Valley. If we quickly look at the velocity, this is the one. I'm going to close off some of these markers. In fact, I just want to be able to see just the winds and look at some of these numbers. 78, wow. Fairfield Glade, 54. North of Harriman, 81. These are the winds that I'm talking about. They're going to take out some power. So when we look at the power outage, you say, well, how did they lose power and why I didn't lose power? Maybe you weren't dealing with 75, 78, 81 mile an hour wind speeds. Now these are estimated, but that's what these storms are suggesting, the kind of winds that we're seeing from this storm. Some may have only had 45 or 50, but even that kind of wind can still take out power. Does that make sense? I just wanted to take off some of the other, well, we didn't even look at the winds, the lightning, because obviously there's a lot there too. But if I take a look at the lightning strikes, we're off the chart, right? 14,000 lightning strikes. The negative strikes are white. The positive strikes, which are hotter, are yellow. And when they come into town, positive strikes kind of come off that anvil at the top of the thunderstorm cloud and are usually what we describe as the bolt out of the blue. But they're all dangerous. You want to be, when thunder roars, you go indoors. We've got that element as well. So rumbles of thunder and these damaging winds that we just looked at are going to be causing some headaches, no doubt. Let's go over towards, say, the power outages. Go over to my current map and see where things stand. Okay, we've got some power outages. We can take off the warnings, and it may not be much, but I think it's going to grow. With those winds that I just looked at, it's no wonder they're going to grow. But this area around the 3,500, maybe around the Kingsport, 100, about 100 on Cookville. So clearly Campbell County has had quite a few power outages so far. That's one of the things that we're watching closely. But if we were to kind of move this up further, where there was a tornado warning, we've had, 800 people without power in Knox County, Kentucky, Barberville, and Pulaski County is at 100. But the Jellicoe area and La Follette, Jacksboro, 3,500. So hopefully that gives you some intel. I got Carrie says it's raining downtown. Michael says, thanks, David. I'm sticking around the basement, pouring down rain. Not a bad idea. And Michael says, LOL. Yeah, that's probably the best way to handle these types of storm systems. You got to take it with a grain of salt, because there's nothing you can do to change it other than wait to ride it out. And in some cases, that's what we are doing. Boy, have we seen this grow. My goodness. It's now 137. 137. And how many of these warnings do you think we can get on the map at one time? Because if I were just to number these, I got 1, I got 2, I got 3, I got 4, I got 5, there's a 5 in there, a 6, 7, and maybe an 8. Is that fair? My handwriting is terrible. 8, potentially 8 severe thunderstorm warnings right now, all at the same time. That's quite a few, right? 8 of these all at once, causing some havoc as they come in from the west. And clearly, by far and away, what's happening in Crossville and west of Spring City, it has to swing into Loudoun and Maryville. And if you need more evidence of that, let me just do a 30-minute loop. We'll do a 30-minute loop. Tell me where the storms around here, and what I'm looking at specifically is right in here. Okay? Look over here. And where is it going to be moving? It's going to be moving into this fertile ground that's between Madisonville, Loudoun, Maryville, and Knoxville within the hour. Probably less. There's 30 minutes, right? Here it comes. It's coming in like a freight train. So now we've got 50, 60, 70 mile an hour wind speeds gusting into town, rolling into Morgan County, Anderson County, moving into Union County, moving into Granger County, moving into Hamlin County, and so on. Did I leave anybody out? I don't think I did. I mean, that's just kind of 8 severe thunderstorm warnings all at once. And it's difficult to always well, I don't know when's mine expire? Well, that's a good question. We can find that out pretty easily. Just a little click here. Oop, got a brand new. There's number 9. It's now northern Cumberland County, right? So we got 1:15 Central Time for Cumberland. That's northern, but Crossville South expires at 1. So obviously, a lot going on there. So we can kind of go from west-east. If we got Meigs County, Ray County till 2. We got Bledsoe County till 1 Central. And Decatur, Meigs, Tennessee County, 2 o'clock. Coming back home to the east, moving east, we got Harriman. Actually, looks like Roane County till 2:30. Morgan County till 2:30. Knox County till 2 o'clock. And we've got Anderson County till 2. We got Union County till 2. We got Granger County till 1:45, and Morristown specifically till 2:15, right? 2:15. So obviously a lot to take in there. Oh, I see. Michael says indeed, and says it's still raining cats and dogs. As he's over here, just want to say hi to you. He says it's still raining cats and dogs, and winds have calmed down a bit for now. It's all coming in as one big giant cluster of storms. All of this. I mean, think about it. Look at this in this perspective. This is all kind of moving and then be filling into this part, right? So we're going to continue to see a lot of this work its way into the heart of the valley and into the heart of East Tennessee. So with the tornado watch in effect until 7, you got to be patient. This is going to take a while before we see all of this start to subside. I would suspect that those who've had the rain and the heavier rains like Jamestown, Oneida, and parts of Campbell County, 3,500 power outages, those areas may not have as much more to add to the fury as what we're going to see down here. So this is really where we're focused on, is the southern part. That's just what I'm watching closely. Michael, he's over here. He says, man, the sky looks really crazy with this storm. I would imagine so. If you have a report, let me know. Or if you have a picture, you want to upload it, you could certainly do that either here on YouTube or, if possible, do it right here on our Facebook page as well. My David Aldrich Weather Group, which has a lot of room for pictures if you have them. But this is my map right now, right? We have now 9 severe thunderstorm warnings. It's not just 1, not just 2, but 9. And they're all expiring, what seemingly would expire somewhere between the hours of 2 and 2:15 Eastern, because we got to take into account our central time zone partners and friends in Cumberland County. They expire at 1:15 Central, which is really 2:15 Eastern, but they've divided the county in half. Oh, and there's a 10. Oh, I don't want to leave out Wanda Poe if she's watching. This is in Newport. Newport has a brand new severe thunderstorm warning, and it's all headed toward Newport. That runs until 2:45. So if you thought we didn't have enough warnings on the map, well, we're adding another one, and that's just the way it goes. But we're going to go ahead and do some tracking as we pick out some towns. But before I get into all the different tracking, we saw some winds that were 75, 78, even 81. Let me go back to Morristown. This is where Michael has been. It seems like a lot of it's worked its way around you, Michael, in the last 30 minutes, as well as Carrie, because this is the loop. You got, well, not totally around you. It's come through in the last 30 minutes. It's now moved up toward Needmore and, say, Barton Springs and Cane Mill. One band of rain has come through there. Clearly, it's what's standing out is the cone of silence around the Alpha area because of the radar, but it's raining hard there too. And it's raining very hard in places like Jefferson City, where Keith is watching, if she's still on the call. She's probably watching, noticing a lot of the heavy rains at this point. So Oakland, Mill Spring, Buffalo Springs, Hammer Store getting pounded. So is Talbot. So is Talbot. And even though the radar is where it is, we can assume it's raining hard in here. We'll just fill it in with my little telestrator. Okay, you get the picture. It's raining hard there at the radar site as well. Let's move west. Blaine getting pounded. Luttrell is seeing a break, as is Maynardville, even though you're technically still under a warning until 2:45. 2:45 is when the Union County Severe Thunderstorm Warning will expire. So clearly, there is some expectation that you're still going to get some of the rainstorms around Norris work its way eastward. Again, 30-minute loop. Let's take a look at where storms have been and still what's coming. So the storms that are north of Clinton and also north of Norris are basically working in that direction. I hope that helps. Obviously a lot to take in and hopefully a lot to digest here. As I'm looking at some of the social media posts, I'm seeing if there's anything new to share with you. Most of us, of what we've seen thus far, is torrential. We haven't had anything tornadic in Tennessee. We did have a tornado warning in Bell County, Harlan County, at the top of my Facebook Live. On this YouTube Live. I have to remember where I am. YouTube Live started at 1 o'clock. And it's now 1:44, so I've been going on here for about 45 minutes. But I just want you to know, as we look at these storms, we are continuing to grow. We're now up to a total of 9. Where we have some downpours at the moment would include around, say, just around west of Oak Ridge, Oliver Springs. You're getting some very heavy rain right now around Farragut, not in Hardin Valley, not in Solway, but Farragut getting some heavy rain at the moment. It is not raining in Bearden. It is not raining downtown Knoxville, but that will change, I can assure you, over time. But we have a severe thunderstorm warning now for Loudoun County till 2 o'clock. That includes Hardin Valley, but it's right now focused around Farragut at the moment. If we go westward, Harriman's getting pounded with some of your heavy rain. So is Kingston. We got some heavy rain around Dry Hill. These are severe thunderstorm warnings. These are not tornado warnings. That's the good news. And when you look at Crossville, I looked at areas around, say southern parts of Cumberland County. A lot of that has actually come through. So not necessarily come through entirely, but it's certainly come through Cookeville and Sparta. So that's the way things are at this time. Looking at also the heavy rains down toward Dayton, Spring City. Dayton and Spring City. Let me open this up real quick, get some more ventilation. But anyway, as far as the ventilation is concerned, oh, there we go. That's what I wanted. Okay. Now, as you can see, we got some heavier storms down towards Spring City, Decatur. Severe thunderstorm warning until 1 o'clock Central in Cumberland County, as well as the one around Knox County mentioned there. If you have any questions, let me know. I see Kay Fowler. She says, rain is here and it's dark. I guess I won't make blueberry muffins until the storm is over. I guess that's one way to do it. One way to do it. Let's see. Let's see. I have noticed the heavier rains you can see around Crossville and Spring City. I have a scared dog, so you'll have to excuse me. But most of what we have toward Norristown, Jefferson City, no wonder skies are pretty dark. Bean Station, Bulls Gap, pretty dark and gloomy. Well, it will be working its way toward Newport, Parrottsville, as well as Greenville. So let's go back and start with that. This will give us some good intel. Some of the towns that will be mentioned here will be getting rain or has already received rain. I'm talking about Jackson Heights. It says now. Panther Hills now. Alpha 148. Obviously, you're getting some rain now, but some of these are actually going to mainly pick up in intensity. Panther Lake about 148. Seven Oaks about 148. This is a storm that's moving east at 43, and the width is about 19.8 miles. BTI is still above a 5. So that's one of the things you'll have to watch very closely as well. Let's go back to this one over here on the west side toward Blaine. We've got a wind storm that's moving east at 36. That would put us around Mitchell Ford at 153, New Market at 203, Buffalo Springs at 204, Jefferson City at 208. Obviously, we're already getting pounded, but this is more indicative or representative of the storms that are going to train over the same exact area. Does that make sense? I mean, we're just going to be seeing these storms continue to spin in from the west, and they're going to continue to spin in like so. They are drifting southward. You can see it's going right toward Newport, right toward Parisville. Now, something I have not done in the last 47 minutes. I haven't shown you the future radar. I love this product. It's on the app, but I love this product because it shows you or will show you where we're going to be 1 hour from now. So if you're like, am I included in this? Okay, we got a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. The question is, did it initialize? Well, maybe it did, maybe it didn't. That's an hour from now. Let's go back in time, like Wayne's World. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. Going back to 148. That's our current time. But let me show you where these storms are to go in 1 hour from now. Are you ready? Take a good look. Here we go. 1 hour from now, looks like it goes toward Maryville, south of Gatlinburg, and north of Clingman's Dome. There's some red areas I'm looking at that are in the southern Sevier County. So it looks like Maryville, you can see over the last, heads south of southern Blount County, heads toward Greenville. We got a storm that comes right through the Newport area, right through Knoxville, and Kodak and Sevierville. Maybe a downpour for Sevierville. But the red areas is what I'm looking at here, as whereas maybe the intensity, the stronger reflectivity would put it right between Gatlinburg and Clingman's Dome, would put it right through the Newport area and the Greenville itself, Wartburg. So all that's working its way in that direction. And that's kind of where I wanted to see, because again, things can change. We look at the power outages one more time. We have still the 350, I believe, so far. And nope, we've added some, as if you needed more evidence that we've added some. Been quite a few around in Greene back here. But if I just do a quick slide over here, let's take this off. Somerset's had about 100, about 3,000 in Campbell County. There's 200 people without power now in Union County, and Granger County's out with 100. They've had about 5,000 power outages just north of Tullahoma, 100 here, Cookville, Putnam County about 200, and up toward the Tri-Cities about 100 or so. So that gives you an idea, and I think this is going to be constantly changing. Leah says, is Sparta out of the warning? Good question. I think that's a good question. Let's check it out. I believe you've seen the worst of it in Sparta, like it might be over, but there's a lot of lightning. Take that off. And it would say that Sparta, yes. Northeast of Sparta is still under the warning. I hope that helps, Leah. White County is still under until 1:15, but it's really Sparta itself, the city, is out. But northeastern, now it's actually been pulled, just as I spoke. So there's absolutely no warning in the Sparta area for the county. That has gone bye-bye. So there's some sigh of relief for you if you're watching us from there. But clearly, McMinn County and Monroe County has been added. So we got one till 2:30, right? So we just showed you the future radar. I want to kind of reiterate why this is important. When we're talking about the future radar, right? It's just a projection. It's kind of like if you've ever done archery in camp as a kid. You know it's a lot easier to hit the bullseye when you're only a few feet from the target. That's kind of like the 1 hour future radar. It doesn't have to project all that far into the future, but using and based on its current speed, it gives us a good sense. So we saw a couple of areas. I know we saw a couple of areas that moved south of Gatlinburg and north of Clingman's Dome. We saw a couple areas that moved toward Newport, and we saw some come right through Knoxville here in the next 60 minutes. So it's now 1:51. So within the next 60 minutes, we're probably going to see this fill in very quickly. May not be a tornado, may not be as dramatic as it could be, but we have had now 10, I believe maybe 8 severe thunderstorm warnings. So that's why I'm watching that very closely. Alexandria says, is the town south indicator weakening at all as it's moving toward Madisonville? We'll look at that very closely, Alexandria. Thank you for being here. And I mentioned Leah's answer. Yes, it was really bad. Thank you. I'm in the middle of Sparta and Cookville. So good to know that. Leah, glad to have Leah here as we're going to kind of go through this step by step. That's what I'm here for. I just want to help you out any way I can in this regard. And again, I'm on YouTube today, trying something different. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I hope you will, because I hope to do this more often. Maybe split the difference between a little bit of Facebook Live and a little bit of YouTube Live, because I think a bigger reach is always helpful, because everybody lives on a different platform. I know that. Spring City indicator's getting some heavy rain. The question I believe I had from Alexandria was the storm indicator weakening. And it looks like you still got some rain around Dayton. Give it another 30 minutes, because here's where it's been 30 minutes ago. Wasn't even indicator, and now it's working its way east. So give it another 30 minutes. This will also give you some sigh of relief. You're not under a tornado warning. It's only a severe thunderstorm warning, but you still got to take those seriously. You want to get away from windows and let these things that type of things pass. Interesting to see that the only track I have right now is the one that's up here, as far as my vector, is up toward Blaine and up toward Jefferson City. So the one that's still working its way and working its magic is moving east at 38 miles an hour. It has a BTI score of 5.6. So my arrows, the little vectors, pick out the strongest storms on the playing field, as it were. And it's got 70% chance of hail, which are showing up here. And the towns, you can see, are Flat Gap, Oakland at 206, 207. Speaking of hail, we go back to that and see if there's any markers that we're seeing. Yeah, there's been quite a bit of hail. The hail tracker, if we do the last 30 minutes, you can see how it's progressed. And there's been some hail around Kingston as well, and in around, say, maybe Roane County. So we're watching this closely. But yeah, Madisonville, what about velocity? Oh, we can do some velocity. This will surprise some of you. Anytime it turns white, it's pretty strong. 85 mile an hour gusts, 60. How about something weaker? 74. This is why power outages may be growing in this part of our viewing area. So if you're in Cumberland County, you're in, say, Roane County, please take these storms seriously. They don't have to be a tornado to cause your power to go out. We've already seen it happen in Campbell County. We've already seen power outages go out in other parts. Some areas are suggesting 95. Now, I don't know if that's could be ground truth or just computer lofty winds aloft, but they are showing signs of very strong winds in pockets. So please be extra careful if you're out and about here on the middle of the afternoon, because it's now 1:54, and clearly, by far and away, we were concerned about maybe tornadoes when the day started, and we've had only, knock on wood, the only tornado warning we've had was around Bell County and Harlan County, not far from Beverly in Kentucky, and we'll know more probably by tomorrow if that actually verified. But I will tell you this, as we look at the radar here, rotation detector, there's nothing on my legend that would suggest strong. It's all weak and green, and over the last 30 minutes it's been pretty much on the weak side. A lot of the green splotches are actually inside the yellow polygons, but it's just a good indication of where the shear is located and where there might be possible rotation. Thankfully, we've not had as much of that, but we are getting the damaging wind. It's kind of like a moot point. If somebody's shingles come off the roof, or if their barn is damaged, it could have very well just been the fact that you had winds of 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. It doesn't take a whole lot of wind beyond that to cause power outages and all the rest. Lots of lightning, 2,800 just on this image alone. So this is all kind of like a lightning electrical show that we're watching. I want to go through the warnings with you here. For those of you that might be just joining me, yeah, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Cumberland County, the northern part, 1:15. The one that includes Crossville Point South runs till 1, and these are central time zones. So really it's 1 o'clock, 2:15, or 2 o'clock, 2:15 if you're in the eastern time zone mode. But if you move into Morgan County, 2:30, move toward Harriman, 2:30, move toward Decatur, 2:30, Ray County, 2 o'clock. That's Eastern time. But once you move into Bledsoe, it's 1 o'clock Central. Obviously, crossover, it's going to have an issue. 1 o'clock, was the southern part of Cumberland County. Now, the severe thunderstorm warning that runs for Monroe runs till 2:30. That's Madisonville. It also includes Etowah and McMinn County till 2:30. And then you'll notice there's nothing in Knoxville proper or Fountain City, not yet. But we've seen the rain pick up quite a bit in the Hardin Valley area, and that runs till 2, Farragut area, 2 o'clock, and Lenoir City. So just these areas, and Oak Ridge. So you've got some pretty big population centers with Oak Ridge, Farragut, Lenoir City, Carnes, Rocky Hill. Everyone's getting some heavy rain. Kingston, Harriman. This is the brunt of the heavier rains right now. And the question is, can we get through this August afternoon without any tornado concerns? Like I said, no tornado warnings, knock on wood, yet. Not to mean we can't, because we're under a tornado watch. It says it right there, till 7, Knox County, which means it's like having a preheated oven. Watches mean you make sure you have a plan. When a tornado warning is issued, for example, that's when you take action. One's getting ready, one's taking action. That's really the difference. Sometimes it gets confusing, and sometimes people will ask me, what's the difference between a watch and a warning? It really is a matter of taking action when it's warned. Okay, another note from Alexander is it's thundering in Tellico Plains. I imagine it is. Tellico Plains, we got down here. There's Tellico Plains. And where's the thunder? It's all north and west of you. So I would imagine it's all working its way toward you, right? It's going to be working its way here. So you're going to start to hear the thunder a lot more vividly here in the next few minutes. We saw that from the future scan, future radar, just a few moments ago. I'm going to turn off the lightning for a second and see if I can get, it might be too early, but maybe not, if I can get a local storm report. I did get some local storm reports. You go, what are those? Well, bear in mind, my local storm reports will give you a town, but it might not look like it's lined up beautifully. That's because I'm tilting the map just so we can see everybody in a nice, succinct way. So when I click on it, so that doesn't look like, but if I made it flat, it might maybe line up a little bit better. But we've had quite a few damage reports. These little boxes, little squares, refer to wind damage. I got one here in La Follette where they had a few trees down. I'm looking at the bottom text of this blue box. South of La Follette, a few trees down. That occurred at 12:09 today. Got one south of Maynardville, Luttrell, a few trees down. You get this picture? And is it any wonder Campbell County had over 3,000 power outages? And well, they got trees down, and that causes problems with power. Now let's go to Cumberland County. Looks like they've had some thunderstorm wind damage. 12:49 Central Time, 4,420 customers are without power as of 12:49 Central. So, again, I'm just showing the power outages I have. Maybe by the time I go back there, it'll update. But they've had quite a few power outages, you can see, in western Cumberland County. Further south of Crossville, 53 knot gust measured at the Crossville Airport. So that's at least a 60-mile-an-hour wind speed. And I'll tell you what, a lot of strong winds are going to be associated with these storms that are coming into town where you live. So that's what I have in terms of that. One other note, looks like power outages around Pikeville, Tennessee, and they're pointing out numerous trees and power lines down country, countywide. So if this is the canary in the coal mine, if this area is now hit 2 o'clock, and if you're just joining me, we're very happy you're here. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube service. Very happy that you're here because we're going to kind of balance out a little bit more on Facebook later today. But this is where I wanted to be right now, and this is where we're going to see more power outages, possibly as this line works its way east around Decatur, Madisonville, Etowah, Loudon, fair game for more power outages. So that's where some of the storm reports have come in so far. I mentioned the one, Luttrell, 2 miles southwest of Luttrell, has had a few trees down as well. Hopefully answering some of your questions. But Michael and Keith have been on here. Leah has had some questions about Sparta. I'm going to go back to the actual time warnings here and go back into the nuts and bolts. Let me go back to the home page. As you can see here, most of what we're seeing in terms of we have one that's in the Morristown area and Claiborne. No, that's the tornado watch. Severe thunderstorm warning for Hamilton County till 2:15. So you have 14 more minutes. But you'll notice that Morristown's kind of overlaid in 2 boxes, 2 polygons. See that? Mohawk But if you're around, say, maybe just south of Rogersville, this one will expire at 2:15. This other one will last till 2:45. So they kind of split the hairs here that Jefferson City, Dandridge are still in the mix for severe weather right till 2:45, which is another 44 minutes. I know that's a lot to take in, but that's what we have as far as the weather. And let me just, for argument's sake, this is where we had the stronger storm. So we can put one little track here. So the towns that I may not mention are on the screen here. You can see Fernwood at 2:03, Greenwood Acres 2:05, Rolling Hills 2:05, Southern Heights at 2:05, right? That's just one potential area of these storms. But they're all moving and training along the same railroad track. This one's going to be headed toward Newmarket at 2:12, Mill Spring 2:16, Jefferson City 2:18. You say, wait a minute, I'm still getting hit. Well, there's more coming. There's more coming your way. This is moving east at 36 miles an hour, and it has a 100% chance of hail. So you're going to get some hail. BTI number is just under 5, which means we like to watch it like a hawk. But this severe thunderstorm warning for Jefferson County does, in fact, run till 2:45. So I just wanted to highlight that. It affects Bulls Gap. It affects Mohawk. It's going to affect other towns as well. If we go over to the west, boy, is it really lighting up now around Wartburg and Harriman and Oak Ridge. You can see some of the towns here. We can go town to town. I can see who's getting pounded right now would be Solway, Carnes, Bearden's now getting some heavy rain, and it's now moving into downtown Knoxville, right? So they have to move into South Knoxville, but it's already affecting Vestal and Forest Hills. Soon it'll be overspreading into Lonsdale and Inskip and Fountain City. You've been dealing with light rain in Lonsdale, Inskip, Fountain City so far, but the heavier rains in red are working its way in your direction. The good news is none of this has been classified as a tornado. None of this is a tornado warning. These are all yellow boxes. We like to call them polygons because they're irregularly shaped. But you can see another one just disappeared out of Cumberland County. So all is clear from Cookeville, Sparta, and I could add in most of Cumberland County, although you're still getting some rain. Most of Cumberland County has seen an end to your dramatic weather. A lot of it is beginning to push to the east. But we'll keep an eye on what goes on after the next 30 minutes, 60 minutes, let's say. But it is now 2:03, and one of the things you'll notice, looking at Clinton, Knoxville, the heart of Knox County is being affected by this severe thunderstorm warning. Let me give you the latest details on this particular one. It runs till 3. So, oh, I didn't know it runs till, yeah, 3. We have a new one for Knox County. It runs till 3. If you have my app, you can follow along where I am, because that's all I'm doing is reading to you some of the intel that we're getting from our friends and partners at the Weather Service. They may be able to shed some light here in what we're seeing. Actually, that was over here is the one I wanted. That's the one I want. But again, Knox County is not obviously the only game in town. There's a lot obviously going around. But this is southeastern Morgan, talking about the 3 o'clock expiration. Southeastern Morgan County, northeastern Loudoun County, Knox County proper, Anderson County, northern Blount, west central Jefferson County, southwestern Granger County, northeastern Roane County, south central Union County, and northwestern Sevier County. That's a mouthful, but that's a lot of counties till 3 o'clock. So you're talking a little more, well, 55 minutes, right? 55 minutes before this will expire. And it's saying that the severe thunderstorm was located near Farragut or near Oak Ridge, moving at 45 miles per hour. So if you've got a storm that's affecting all of these areas here, and I can kind of do a little circle here, this is the area that runs till 3 o'clock, but it also has to work with what's going on to the west. This is all that's moving to the east. I know it's a lot to take in because you're like, when's this finally going to get out of here? It depends on where you live, because it's not raining in Gatlinburg, and it's not raining in Townsend, and it's not even a problem in Cosby, maybe not yet. But we saw some of this wants to work its way south toward Gatlinburg in the next 60 minutes, because we were looking at the future radar. Look where this is going. You kind of see, well, is this going to head toward Gatlinburg, or is it going to head south? This one looks like it's headed right toward Kodak, right? Wartburg, Harriman, some heavy rain, some thunder. There's also some activity around Sweetwater and Loudoun. That also could work its way south of Gatlinburg. But you got the heavier rains that are coming in and out of the Morristown area for sure. Well, I got some notes from Cody. Oh, I got some other notes. Let me come back on camera. I know it's very thankful that you all are here. Like I said, I'm trying something new on YouTube because I'm trying to expand my reach. But I do want to find out what you're thinking. Michael says Morris Boulevard is flooded here already. See, you got some issues. Thank you for that update. Cody says the rain is picking up in Friendsville, so it's now beginning to add in. And Felicia says just got a severe thunderstorm warning for South Knoxville. That'll run till 3 o'clock for you, Felicia. Thank you for being here. As we're looking at all these storms working in this direction, you just got to be patient. It will get better, but not necessarily before 2 o'clock. Well, obviously it's 2 o'clock, not before 3 o'clock, right? We have a tornado watch in effect for Knox County till 7. There is the tendency that they over deep sea fish these, meaning like they might expire the tornado watch at 6 p.m. if things improve. But they are certainly, we are seeing a lot of improvement. Let me focus on the positive for Cookeville, Jamestown, Sparta. Okay? Cookeville, Sparta, even Crossville, beginning to see some vast improvement at this hour. And you can see where all it's headed. Real quickly, for those of you just joining me, I'd like to do the future radar. See where this is going. See, this is 307. It jumped all the way 1 hour into the future. And that's not the way the radar looks now, but that's the way the radar is going to look 1 hour from now. That means Wartburg will be in the clear. Kingston will be in the clear. Jamestown will be in the clear. You say, well, I'm already in the clear. I'm in Jamestown. But look what happens. Here's 207. This is the future radar, and this suggests it's going to, I'm going to push play on this. Look where the heavy rain goes. Seemingly like what jumps out at me is it heads south of Johnson City. It just grazes Newport, but it still has to work through Morristown and Hamlin County as well as Jefferson County. So Jefferson County, Keith, you might be dealing with more rain obviously in the next hour and will not likely see any big improvements probably until long after 308. Does that make sense? Because what we're looking at is a projection of where things are going to be 60 minutes from right now. Heavier rains may work their way through the Madisonville area, Etowah, but still very red in Union County and looks like Granger County at the top of the next hour or at the beginning of the next hour. So that's just an idea of where things are going to be. As I go back to the actual radar, it's getting a little noisy because I'm in West Knox County. I know exactly what you're feeling. I know the lightning, also quite a bit of activity, 4,875 lightning strikes. You knew something's going on, right? It's like, whoa, this is pretty active. Make it go away. I wish I could. But look what's happened in the last hour. I mean, all this has kind of moved in. It was 4,000, 4,800 now. It was 2,000. So it's increasing because it's picked up into the screen here. It wasn't here like it was an hour ago. But this is the main event, and this is kind of what we're working with at this particular hour. So I want to take the lightning off. We'll see if that makes it a little less decluttered here. But again, let's count how many we have here. My telestrator is on this side. So I got 1 here. I got 2 here. I got 3 here. I got 4, 5, and 6. Okay, at one point, I believe we had 8, 9, or 10. So the one that's around Madisonville and Etowah, it's a pretty big one. That's a pretty big polygon. So you could argue there's a lot of real estate between Soddy Daisy and Loudon. And now we just added a new one for the Tri-Cities. That's 7. All right, so we got 7 severe thunderstorm warnings in effect at this very moment at 2:10, 2:09, 2:10 in the afternoon on a Monday afternoon in August. Alexandria says raining in Tellico Plains now. Oh, and I got a note. See, somebody's writing me a note in Spanish. I did take Spanish, but I'm not that good. But I do see she mentioned Puerto Rico. Anyway, happy to have you here. Thank you. Very grateful for your information, says Leah. Glad to have you here, Leah, always, as always. And you'll notice, again, now 7 of these severe thunderstorm warnings. Not a single one, not a single tornado warning yet. I might be jinxing myself by saying that. Because, you know, lo and behold, as soon as I say that a third time, lo and behold, there'll be a tornado warning, and I'll have to eat crow. But when we started this Facebook Live at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, I showed you the projection that we could have a tornado today from the Storm Prediction Center. They had put a 10% chance of the areas in yellow where a tornado. And if you think about it, we did get a tornado warning issued by the National Weather Service in Jackson for Harlan and Bell County. But that was closer to 1 o'clock. And it expired at 1:15. So, again, these are probabilities. If you've been to Vegas and there's a 10% chance you win the hand, you know, it's not very high. But it's not zero. You could win the hand. That's what I'm saying. Some of us have about a 5% chance for a tornado today, and that was the estimation from the National Weather Service, and more specifically the Storm Prediction Center. So when we look at this box, we have a 2:30 expiration. It's 2:11 now. We look at this box, Roane County till 2:30, Morgan County till 3, because there's a secondary box right on top of you. Anderson County till 3. That also includes Knox County. 3 o'clock, South Knoxville, Vestal, 3 o'clock. Parts of Sevier County till 3, because you're also included along with Blount, 3 o'clock. Heading eastward, Jefferson County till 2:45. A lot of rain. We haven't even looked at the rainfall, but I'm going to do that next. Hamlin County, 2:15 for the northern part of your county, lower southern part, 2:45. So basically, Morristown, you're not getting out of that box till probably closer to 2:45. 3:15 for Greene County, and then if you have interest in the Johnson City, Tri-Cities, you're about 3:15. But let's go back for a moment and look at the accumulation. Just in the last 6 hours, I'm going to take off the boxes. I don't want it to alarm you because it declutters it. But when you look at these amounts, you're looking at 1.7. These are Doppler estimates. 0.78, 1.56, south of Wartburg, 1.27, Sparta, about a little more than an inch, maybe around Dunlap, a half inch. Again, these are Doppler estimates, but it gives you an idea, 1.63, 1.06. So you get a sense that you're going to get some heavy rain. You're going to get the dark skies. You may get a half inch to 2 inches of rain, potentially, depending on how long it sits. But even into Jefferson County, I would imagine your totals have not come in yet. I mean, Jefferson City is projected here about, well, there's 1.63. So there's a lot. Jefferson City has quite a bit of rain, and I suspect you're going to continue to see a little bit more, especially north of the city. It's about 1.42. So heavy rain creating some flooding concerns and a lot of water. Go back to all these colors, and we'll take off some of the other elements. Oh, and now we have a flash. Nope, we have a flash flood warning, I believe. That's now in effect. Pretty sure. Go back. Yep, I believe that's what we have. What's happened is I have so many warnings on top. I have a tornado watch at the bottom. I got a severe thunderstorm warning on the top, and it's squeezed in between there. I suddenly now have a flash flood warning. I'm going to guess here because it's not flashing red. If it were flashing red, it'd be a tornado. But the burgundy color that's around the Morristown area would suggest flash flood warning. Bingo. All right, so we have a flash flood warning for northwestern Cock County, southwestern Granger County, southwestern Hamlin County, and Jefferson County until 4:15. So that is until 4:15. Clearly, there's obviously a lot here to unpack, and I think because of my stacking of all these different, let's move the flash flood warning up. Let's move that here. Oops. Pop this on. There we go. See if this shows up. There it is, 4:15. And according to the National Weather Service, there has been 1 to 1.5 inches of rain in this area has already fallen, with another half inch expected in the flood area. So flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly. That's exactly the amount of what we were seeing around Jefferson City. I think it was 1.43. They're saying they got about 1 to 1.5. So we're in keeping with the flash flood warning. So heavy rains have been a real issue in the Jefferson City area. You've heard the expression, turn around, don't drown. This also applies to White Pine. If Marilyn Bell is watching, Keith, if you're in Jefferson City and you're watching, you're under a flash flood warning until 4:15. That's where we really need to be concerned because there's more rain coming, another half inch. It also includes Dandridge, it includes Bainsbury, and it includes Morristown. Morristown is technically still in that particular area. So watching this very, very closely here at 2:15. So just to kind of recap, 4:15, we have a flash flood warning that'll expire. We still have at this point a severe thunderstorm warning till 2:45 for Cock County. Heavy rains are likely to be moving into the Newport area here in just a few moments. Boy, is it coming down in buckets right now in Knox County and Fountain City. Remember when I showed you Fountain City and Knoxville and Bearden, there wasn't any rain at all. I said give it some time, it'll fill in. It's coming down in buckets from Knoxville to Amherst to Fountain City to Carnes. Heading westward, it's also affecting areas around Bearden, Rocky Hill, Carnes, Solway, Farragut, as well as, say, Boyd, Oak Ridge, getting some heavy rains as well. And you're under a severe thunderstorm warning till 3 o'clock at this particular point. So watching this closely. We've had a total of 6 or 7 severe thunderstorm warnings, and now, oops, I spoke too soon. There's our first tornado warning in East Tennessee. Got a brand new tornado warning. It's in Greene County. Greene County, right? That's kind of on the edge of the Knoxville viewing market, but it's also worth noting it is north of the city. So we have a tornado warning, our first of the day for Tennessee, and this runs until 2:45. So let me give you the specifics on that, and hopefully this will make sense as we head into the rest of the afternoon. This is all headed, let's see if it gets a track on that. These are headed toward these towns. So if you're in these towns, this is the time to get into your safe space. We have a tornado warning east at 49. So we got a storm system that's moving east at 49 miles per hour. It's got hail of 90%, severe hail 20%, and it's a BTI of 4.8. So it's not even above 5, but it was enough for the National Weather Service in Morristown to pull the trigger. They have decided that this is tornadic potentially. So if you're in the area around, say, Cherokee Estates, please get into your safe space. If you're in the sound of my voice around Meadow Lark or Westgate, it should be knocking on your door at 221. These are the spots I want you to make sure that you're in your safe space. Greenville, 224. Again, storm system that's coming through just north of you may be more pronounced at this point. Let me get the latest specifics on what they see in their verbiage. I'm looking at my app right now, as I think it'll be very helpful to have. So I'm going to come back on camera just to make sure. If you have a comment, let me know. Do my best. Again, can't do too much on the Spanish. I would need a little bit of help on that. And I think I've just lost some power, but it's coming back. See, that's the beauty of this, right? I'm in it. I'm in it to win it with you, right? I want to make this work. Clearly, power, when it disappears or flickers, I'm susceptible. Tell you this: a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located near Greenville, moving east at 25 miles per hour. So they're expecting them at 25. So let's go back, and they're saying the flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. I'm talking about southwestern Washington County, northeastern Greene County. It is on the edge of the Knoxville viewing area, but there are some that watch us in this area. So I'm going back full screen. We've got a tornado warning for Greene County. It's our first tornado warning of the day for Tennessee. We had one in Kentucky earlier, but I want to look at the actual velocity here, and maybe we'll look at the storm relative velocity. Take off some of the clutter here. We'll take care of that. Okay. Space. We're talking about the dangerous storm will be around Tusculum around 225. So 225 will be when this particular storm could have an impact there. I just want you to be prepared. But we are still seeing quite a bit of strong winds, possibly tornadic winds at this moment in this particular area just north of Greenville, and it's heading to the east. They say at 25 miles per hour. That's the one that we'll be working from and with. This one had it moving a little bit faster at 52, but that was earlier. So again, we're going to watch and see how this plays out. If this were to verify, and it's moving at 25 miles per hour, we could pick out our own spot here. They're saying this was just north of Greenville, right? So if we did a little track like this and moved it out 25 miles per hour, this is what we would find, 25. And these towns are the ones that need to be in their basement. These are the towns you need to hunker down. Brad Barron Hill, 222. Taylor Acres, 225. Upchurch, 226. Fairview, 227. You're under a tornado warning until 2:45, right? Till 2:45. This is not a drill. This is not a watch. This is a warning. It means it's imminent. This is the time to take action. It's not the time to make a plan. It's the time to execute the plan. Get into a basement if you have one, or get into an interior room like a bathroom that has no windows and get hunkered down on the ground floor. You don't want to be upstairs. You want to be downstairs. So that's what I'm talking about. Michael Hawk says, thank you, really appreciate you, David. I'm picky about my meteorologist. Thank you, Michael. Light hail in Jefferson City and internet going in and out. Again, what we know at this point, all I know at this point, is the National Weather Service in Morristown, with all the tools, bells, and whistles that they have at their disposal, including AWIPS, which is one of their state-of-the-art weather equipment. I can tell you, I can show you all the things I can show you, but their judgment and their team of meteorologists said we're under a tornado warning for this part of Greene County. And then we're going to go with that until 2:45. So 2:20, 2:45 is when this will likely expire. But this is the area that we need to be prepared for. Now, I grant you, anything east of Greenville kind of trails off. It's more of the Tri-Cities market. But since I'm on YouTube right now, and some of you are watching, this is what we need to pass along to you, because some of you might have family in this area. Maybe you have family in Babbs Mill or Fairview or Grandview at 2:35. Doesn't mean a tornado is actually happening, but do you want to risk it? Of course not. It's you and your family. It's the most important thing. You just want to make sure you have the tools to get the alerts. That's why I always push my free Captain Accurate weather app. Barron will tell you ahead of time what kind of probability on a scale of 0 to 10, what probability. But I can tell you this. When the National Weather Service issues a tornado warning, we take it seriously, and then we're moving this to the east at about 25 miles per hour. So that's what I have to work with. That's basically what we call the storm relative velocity. I can look at some other things here with you while we look at this closely. See what might be toward and away. You can almost sense that there's some issues here just north of Greenville. So if there is a tornado occurring at this point, and you're within the sound of my voice, I hope and pray that you are in the safe spot that you need to be in until it passes. Because it's now 2:23, and that is the tornado warning that we have, only one that I believe we have at the moment. I'm going to have to zoom out to see if there's any new ones. But the only one that's flashing red is the tornado warning. The red burgundy we saw around Morristown was and is a flash flood warning. I know that if you're color challenged like I am at times, easier to see the flashing red to know that's the tornado. But the burgundy one around Morristown, Jefferson City refers to the flash flood warning. I hope that makes sense. So we're still watching this. I'm just kind of zooming out to see if there's been any new additions. I can tell you what, that future radar that we looked at did a fine job, and that's a tribute to Barron's. But I'll tell you what, it's suggesting it's going through Knoxville now. I can already see the clearing taking place in, obviously, Jamestown, Crossville. We saw that by the time we get to the top of the hour, it'll be much quieter in Wartburg. It'll be much quieter in Kingston, as this is all trying to work its way to the east, right? All trying to work its way to the east. So just to recap, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for Knox County till 3. It looks like they've just expanded some of this into North Carolina. But getting an emergency alert for destructive 80-mile-an-hour winds moving through. So this is clearly a severe thunderstorm warning that means business. And you can tell when you get an alert like that on your phone from like an emergency service that you need to take these things seriously and not lightly. If I look at this velocity, and looking at the towns here, I'm keeping the tornado warning up here on the right. That includes Greene County till 2:45. But if I look at some of these winds, 80. That's in Knox County, folks. That's why I'm getting the alert. This will take out power, and that means I could be on and then suddenly I'm not on. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm in West Knox County, and if I get an 80-mile-an-hour wind, I suspect I won't be talking to you. I'll be talking to myself because it might fade away pretty quickly. Felicia says, light rain, frequent lightning, but no hail or wind in South Knoxville, but it's starting to pick up and getting very dark. Very dark. So clearly a lot of wind that potentially from Lenore City back towards, say, Farragut, suggesting 80-mile-an-hour winds, and I got an alert on my phone suggesting that was a possibility. So please be extra careful here. Here it is now 2:25. 2:25. Watching this ever so closely and noticing, too, that the winds that are strongest may not be where the tornado is, right? The tornado gets all of the press, but it's also a good reason to take things seriously, because locally that tornado could do a lot of damage in a short period of time. It looks like another flashing tornado warning up toward Wytheville, Virginia. That's now shown up. Wytheville, Virginia till 2:30. So we've had now one in Tennessee, one in Virginia, and one in Kentucky as far as the severe weather is concerned for tornado warnings. That could change here in the next few minutes. But these are the colors associated with the velocity, and I imagine we probably had a lot more power outages. If I had my computer flicker, as some of you saw, then there's a good chance that there's probably more power outages have occurred. This is showing 82. North of Knoxville, 78. That's a lot of strong wind. A lot of strong wind coming through. So these are gusts potentially aloft, and some of that could reach the ground. That's why I'm most concerned here at 2:26. Any questions? Michael says rain is still coming down pretty steady here, and sky, he says the sky is lighting up just a bit. Well, I would imagine so. I do mention from Felicia, she's in South Knoxville, she said no hail, but the wind, frequent lightning, getting all the lightning, and now the damaging winds are coming into town, right? It's 2:27, almost 2:30. Obviously a lot to unpack with all these winds coming into play. But I may very well, at this point, take a breather here in a few moments and may switch gears over to Facebook. But I'm not ready to do that just yet because I want to make sure that we don't see an extension to this particular warning in the Greenville area. But again, we're still dealing with a tornado warning till 2:45 for the possibility of a tornado in this area that's occurring at this particular time. Let's go back to storm relative velocity. And you can see maybe a little couplet. All right, and if this is still moving at 25 miles per hour, I probably want to zoom back out just a hair. If this is in this area, let's pull this out, 25 miles per hour. That would put us in this area. So these would be the towns that we'd want to watch and make sure that they're ready for the possibility of a tornado. It's flashing. It's a big area, Babbs Mill and Afton, Greenville, but this would be in the Limestone area, 239, Gravel Hill at 244, Telford at 251, and New Victory at 254. So just want to drive home the point. Some of you may not even be in this area, but if you are, please know that you're under a tornado warning until 2:45. And meanwhile, and it's in Chucky at 2:31 here in just a few minutes. So potentially that storm, possibly tornadic, is working its way away from Greenville and headed east. That's the concern, at least at this point. Let's see what we have here. See if I got an update from our friends at the Weather Service. They have, and I'm again able to just click on my app and toggle on to the particular map here. Tornado warning. They still have maintained it. It was issued at 2:16, and it was to run till 2:45. So they were expecting this to be around Tusculum at 2:25. That was 4 minutes ago. The new towns you can see on the screen include Telford, New Victory, as well as Mayday at 2:57. So obviously a lot to take in there with all the activity that we've been seeing. Most of the storminess that we have now observed in the valley, as I zoom back out, has been focused in around Knoxville Point southward now, and of course northeast around Morristown. I'm really concerned about the flooding concern as well in the Jefferson City area, because no matter how much you have had right now, we could debate it, I'd say you have had at least 1.5 inches in the Jefferson City area. Look at all the rain in Fountain City, Knoxville that's still coming. So there's still more rain coming to the Jefferson City area and south of Morristown that's going to be keeping you on your toes over the next few minutes. In fact, to go ahead and show you here that we have now seen a lot of this work its way eastward here. Let's see, take this particular map. I keep moving this box off there. There's the tornado warning for Greene County until 2:45. We have a flash flood warning in Jefferson County and Hamlin County till 4:15. So that's a long time from now. But in the Knox County area, you're getting a severe thunderstorm warning till 3 p.m. So that's really where things down from essentially where things are. A lot of wet weather going on at this point. People are texting me, so I sounded a little distracted. That's me why. We did have a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for Blount County. This runs till 2:45. But I can tell you with high assurance that we're seeing some vast improvement already in Wartburg, Oneida, Crossville, Harriman. It's looking really good for you now, much better. And it will be like that in Knoxville, but you might have to give it an hour. as we will see here in mere moments. In fact, real quickly, let me go back to the future scan. Let's see how this progresses. Where are things going to be? 1 hour from now, it's going to look like this. So here's where we are now. Watch what happens in 60 minutes, right? It moves out. And that's good news. So we're going to say goodbye to a lot of the heavy rain, but it still has to come through Jefferson City. That's why I'm a little concerned about Jeff City and all that red that moves into that flash flood warning area till 4:15. It's going to roll through Gatlinburg, Cosby, and again, there's been some adjustments made in the modeling even in the last 30 minutes or so, but it does show you a big improvement for Knoxville proper by the time we get to about 3:30. 3:30, we'll see some big improvement there. And last but not least, let's see here. Let's go to the currents. Let's check out the power outages. Oh, we had quite a few, right? We've had quite a few of power outages. And you can see just from this image alone how many people are without power. Cumberland County, 7,000. Jefferson County, 5,000. 200. Knoxville, 400. Morgan, 600. And counting. 1,000 in Roane County. 5,500 near Spring City. Cock County, 100. And it looks like 100 in around, say, Hamlin County, just to give you an idea. Okay? So that hopefully helps. At least kind of sizes it up, as it were. But obviously a lot to take in here. I'm going to do this. Come back here. I'm going to come back on. I'm going to pick this back up. I'm going to pick this back up on Facebook, as I really wanted to see how and where most of my viewers are. And if you are a Facebook person, I might do a little more Facebook Lives in the future there. Maybe share it over to YouTube, because I really like to expand the YouTube channel. If you like it, please subscribe to me here, because I like to expand YouTube as well. This is, to me is an untapped resource for me, as I have tens of thousands of people that follow me on Facebook. So depending on what you like to watch, let me know in the comments section. I would really appreciate it. But again, severe weather is still going on till 3 o'clock for Knox County. I'm going to pick this up on my Facebook page. It's facebook.com/Aldrich Weather. Well, my name is David Aldrich. Some people call me Captain Accurate. It's not easy being accurate, so weather doesn't surprise you. We'll see you here next time. Take care.